There are a lot of top 5 lists out there, but what's different about this one is I'm giving you guys first-hand information and experience. I know these planes, I've flown them, I've worked on them, and in some cases I've built them. So with that out of the way, here's my top 5 list of kit airplanes that pretty much anyone can build at home. All right, so number 5 is the Kitfox Series 7. Now, the only reason the Kitfox is that far down in the list is because I have very limited time in a Kitfox. The only time I have in a Kitfox is in my friend Trent's Model 5 Kitfox. It kind of limits me in what I can really tell you guys about what the airplanes like to fly. But there is a lot of other information that I can give you guys, so it still makes the list, but it's just not quite up there. And I can almost guarantee you that if I had more time in it, it would be higher up in the list. One of the big things I like about the Kitfox is just the sort of the blank canvas aspect of it. It is one of the few kits out there that you can take from a proper 125, 130 mile an hour cross-country machine to a hardcore backcountry bush plane. And Kitfox pretty much offers everything you need to take your airplane either way. Another big thing I like about the Kitfox is the buildability. Kitfox has a phenomenal manual, they're known for it. In the grand scheme of things, it's actually a fairly simple airplane to build. Besides the covering, it's one of those things that daunts me a little bit. I haven't done it before, but everyone that I've spoken to say that you get the hang of it pretty quick and it actually becomes a lot more enjoyable than aluminum or composite were. Another big plus for me is just the integrity and the sort of pedigree of Kitfox. Kitfox has been around for a very, very long time. And there's little things that sort of just bring comfort to me about Kitfox. For example, Trent mentioned that John from Kitfox is so particular about the wing spars that he insists on having extruded aluminum wing spars instead of a seamed aluminum wing spar. You could get sufficient strength out of a seamed aluminum spar, and he will definitely save himself some money and make more money, but he insists on having a solid spar. That just gives him the peace of mind that his airplanes out there are all structurally sound. And so knowing that a company that I'm buying a kit from and an airplane from is that particular about what they're providing me is a pretty solid peace of mind. Honestly, one of the coolest parts about the Kitfox is its baggage compartment and the folding wings. It's got a huge baggage compartment, and you can get an extended baggage compartment on top of that. Trent and I have loaded his Kitfox up to the absolute brim with camera gear and camping gear, and we've gone and landed on mountaintops. So it's very versatile in that regard. And then from a storage perspective and a transport perspective, you can fold the wings so easily. And so storing it for winter or anything like that is a super easy deal. So Kitfox, definitely number 5. I would throw it up higher, but just can't give you guys any feedback on what it's like to fly other than the little bit I've done in the air. Not really enough credibility there. Then we get to number 4, the Rans S7. Now, I need to preface by saying my only experience with the Rans S7 is the short tail version. It was an older model around 98, 99 that I did a couple of first flights on. So yeah, things vary a little bit. Things have changed. I know the longer tail version is heavier, has better yaw stability, and a couple of other things. That being said, I actually quite enjoyed the short tail. It was a very nimble aircraft, very agile, very light, and little sports car. You could throw it around and do quite a lot with it. One big downside for me was the cabin space. I'm a fairly tall guy, and I really struggled with my legroom and headroom in that airplane. I don't know if that's changed on the new one. I can't offer you guys too much advice there, but yeah, spent quite a bit of time in it and I loved it. It was a really, really fun airplane to fly. It's a very hands-on airplane. You have to fly it all the time. It kind of, during straight and level, it didn't stabilize itself, and it was very yaw unstable. But I believe that this is improved with the newer models, but even the older model, yeah, it really depends on your experience level on whether you would appreciate that or not. I thought it was a fun airplane, really cool, and I could totally see with some bigger tires that it could be a very, very fun bush plane. Rand's aircraft has been around for a very long time, so you're getting some solid pedigree there. They're strong airplanes. In general, I think you can't go wrong with the Rand's S7. It's a solid little airplane, and from the work I've had to do on it, well laid out, well thought out design. Buildability, very much like the Kitfox, you know, tube construction and fabric covering. It's a tandem seat airplane. From the front, my room was limited. From the back, it was better, but I never flew it from the back. Flying solo from the back seat is not an option anyway, so. But yeah, pretty good airplane. Number 3 on my list is the Sling 2. Very near and dear to my heart. I've got a lot of time in a Sling 2. I've helped build a few, and I've worked on a few. I know the guys at the factory very well, and I've literally watched the development of this airplane from the first prototype right up to what the product is now. They are simply phenomenal flying airplanes. I don't know what Mike and James and them did at the factory, but a big problem with flying light sport airplanes this small, is they tend to be very light, and that creates some interesting flying characteristics, and it just makes you really vulnerable to the elements. Handling wise, usually very light on the controls, very easy to over control, and yeah, kind of more difficult to fly than a 172. But the Sling nails it. For some other reason, they nailed it. It's the most harmonic, well-balanced flying airplane I've ever flown, and that's true for all their products. Buildability, it's an aluminum airplane. That has a lot of benefits. One of them is longevity, resale value. You know, there's some credibility to having an all aluminum airplane. And one of the big bonuses for me is it's a pop rivet airplane. So there are 2 types of rivets, and we'll get to the other rivets soon. But pop riveting an airplane together is a lot easier than the other alternative. Sling Aircraft also use obviously very modern CNC platforms. So they have CNC routers and CNC punches. So you're getting a match drilled kit. It basically gets put together like a big Lego toy. If you follow the manual from the first page to the last page, you'll have a complete airplane at the end. Limited deburring. Because of the use of pop rivets, you don't need to dimple. So that is a huge time saver in the grand scheme of things. This was a tight one. Sort of the number 1 and number 2 spot is hard. I'm a huge Vans aircraft enthusiast. I started building an RV-14 quite a while ago. The intention was to fly that around the world. And I've had the honor of spending a fair amount of time with the founder of Vans himself. I've also in recent years had the chance to fly a particular RV-7 quite a bit. So yeah, I mean, just an insane airplane. There's a reason I don't have the 14 in here. The 7 kind of still holds its own, even though the 14 is a newer kit and is a lot more like the RV-10 in terms of building. The RV-7 is just, it's such a cool sports car. It's really hard to explain how fun that airplane is. It's a serious cross-country machine, so you're looking at 180, 200 miles an hour. It's a little bit smaller than the 14, of course, but in exchange, you get an airplane that is considerably more aerobatic. It's a lot tighter on the controls, it just feels more nimble, and yeah, it's a sports car. It's just so cool. All the Vans offerings are awesome. They're phenomenal airplanes. They've been around for a long time, and the RV grin is there for a reason. With the name Vans comes a lot of pedigree and a lot of sort of integrity as a company. You're gonna get industry-leading support on your build. So you know, parts support and help whenever you need it from the engineering team is literally just a call or email away. The team in Oregon are really on it, and the factory is awesome. I've been there, awesome. Now, there's one downside to the 7, which is expected because it's a high performance airplane. It's designed to go fast, and so you need that smooth exterior skin on the airplane. It uses solid rivets. That means that for a lot of the build, not all of it, but for a lot of the build, it's gonna be a 2-person job to build. You need someone on the bucking bar on the other end, and then someone squeezing the rivet gun. The other thing is this method of riveting does lead to a little bit of a skill required to really get the cleanest finish. So when you build your first tail, you're gonna leave some crescent moons in there, unfortunately, but that's kind of just part of building, right? Like just embrace that. That's you learning. And as you build your airplane, you know, you're gonna get better. And who knows, you might nail it. You know, when you build your first toolbox and you do, you know, your first little projects to learn how to rivet, you'll get the hang of it. But it does add a fair amount of time to the build process because you also, on many of them, you need to dimple. This is a different caliber airplane. It's in a different league. It's high performance, it's awesome. And you're building yourself a real airplane here. The number one spot goes to the Sling 4/TSI. Now there's a reason I mentioned the Sling 4 as well as the TSI. What the Sling 4 did with the 914 Rotax engine is phenomenal. There was nothing in its class at the time. I'll be honest, when they first launched it, I was like, I'm never flying that plane. 115 horsepower is not enough for a four-seater. They worked their magic and they made a true capable four-seat airplane with 115 horsepower turbo engine on the front. And I've got a lot of time in a 4. I've just been repeatedly blown away. They sprinkled some magic dust on the wings, or I don't know what they did, but they built a phenomenal airplane. It handles just like the 2, yet you can throw 2 more people in the back, and it's an awesome airplane. And then the Rotax 915 came along and changed everything. What's kind of awesome about the Sling TSI is it actually has less parts than the Sling 2. Obviously, it was developed a lot later, they learned a lot, and so they were able to consolidate a lot of the parts. I don't know if you really save yourself time, but you're definitely not adding time. So may as well go for a Sling TSI. A phenomenal performer. You've got the 141 horsepower Rotax turbo up front with an A-Master constant speed prop and a new wing and a lot of little changes across the fuselage that make it a completely new airplane. Even though it looks like the 4, it's completely new and it just redefines the class. They've taken it up to 27,000 feet, a really solid cruiser, seeing around about 150 knots true at times. Payload, fuel, everything is phenomenal. You're getting an airplane with seriously good pedigree. They've flown the Sling 2, the Sling 4 around the world, and they've done numerous big adventures in them. And including me, I've done massive flights in the Sling range of aircraft. So the Sling TSI ultimately takes the number 1 spot. The 915 allowed them to take that already really efficient airframe, expand on it, develop a new wing. It's a custom airfoil, and they were just able to make something pretty special out of it. Awesome build manual, a lot of build videos, and then on top of that, you've got their insanely good build assist program, which just makes your life a hell of a lot easier. I can't recommend them enough. Can't recommend the Sling TSI enough. It's number 1 on my list for a reason. And with the high wing coming, things are gonna change a lot. That's gonna be a seriously capable airplane. And you might just see more of it on this channel. So yeah, that's my top 5 list. These all have their place, right? They all fit different markets, different performance categories, and different price ranges. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please like it and subscribe. That helps me out a lot. Follow me on Twitch. I'm doing a lot of streaming there lately, and on Instagram, of course. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week for another video.